Miurna, Namani Puriji, Nai Nariarto, Nakaramero, Nagarna, Narinjari Yankuranjara Yarta, Na Wangani, Marni Nabudni, Garna Yarta, Urichi Yarta, Nature Yakandalya, Yakunandalya, Nachalya. Karrawirra Parri is a beautiful river that belongs to the Kaurna people. Our connection to our country and our water is important for us as Aboriginal people, including our animals, our reptiles, insects and fish that also live beside the river. For thousands of years, Aboriginal people have looked after the country, including our wonderful river, Karrawirra Parri.
The reason that Adelaide is here today is because of the River Torrens. It provided the first bit of water source for colonists who came into the river, but since then it's been overloved and overused and overworked. It was a water source, it was the sewer, and then chuck in the rubbish. But then it started to be recognised as something you could use recreationally, and that's when Torrens Lake was built. And today people come here for a bit of rest and respite and a bit of calmness that being next to the water can bring you.
Back in the old days, you have the occasional dog walker along the river, but other than that, it wasn't seen as an attractive area to come and visit. It was kikuyu, 3 corner jacks, and not much else. We now have clean, deep, cool water with very little algae growth, a huge range of water birds here all the time, the riccardi, a top-end predator. We can walk along sections of this river and forget you're in a metropolitan area where the traffic noise disappears and all we have is the birds in the background and you could be out in the bush.
When we started the project, the river was choked with weeds. The top reaches of the river were quite extreme. It was a jungle, inaccessible pretty much. Removing a lot of the exotic species, especially up the top reaches of the river, was essential to getting the reduction of seed bank, which was obviously flowing right through to the sea.
Some people perhaps like the willows or the ash trees, but what people don't understand is that an individual willow or an individual ash tree is a beautiful thing, you know, but they're not stable. They colonise, and if you start leaving individual ash trees and individual willow trees, the whole river will be choked.
The monoculture of willows and ash trees that had occurred was preventing any other plant species from taking a hold on the river. It also choked a lot of the sections down. There was a lot of collection of silt and the root systems covered massive areas which were then diverting water away from the river system and creating erosion issues.
One of the biggest issues we've had on the Torrens is being down the bottom end is receiving everyone else's woody weeds. We've had to wear a lot over the years, and through a lot of work, hard work, we've been able to reduce our woody weeds down to minimal.
The ability for some contractors to go into areas without leaving a footprint has been of huge success within the area that we've been looking after.
We do things by hand because we come from the point of view of minimal disturbance where possible. You can target what you're doing and you can target what you're leaving as well. We're only killing the weeds from the point of view of conserving something else.
The benefits to the environment with a clean river system varies from native wildlife being present, native fish in the river. It all goes to producing cleaner water, and not only environmental benefits running through the landscape, through the land, but also when it gets out to sea, that it's not pushing all those pollutants out to sea.
Native bees are one of those things that are a good indicator of biodiverse health. Having a biodiverse system means we've got a healthy system which is resilient to a whole range of impacts which are generally human driven. The City of Charles Sturt came up with the idea to build the native bee hotels. We got some buy-in from the other councils to participate, and that was how we delivered it right up and down the river. We've actually seen a huge increase in awareness of the importance of native bees, and from that we've gone to people having instant recognition of native bee hotels and why we have native bees and their role in the environment.
The river has so many values, whether it be for biodiversity, amenity, recreation, and I think it's such a unique area, and residents really appreciate having this stretch of natural area here. It's a testament to what a beautiful area it is and how that has increased over time.
As an open space asset, I think it's one of those untapped pieces of nature in suburbia. People used to turn their back on the river and not really engage with it, and you could see that in terms of how people's properties were set up against the river. And in the last few years I've really noticed how that's shifting, that people are engaging a lot more and wanting to build along the river, and that to me says people are feeling more connected to the river as an open space asset, as a biodiversity asset.
We've been running community planting events for over 10 years now, and it's really gained its own momentum. We get over 100 people turning up to our annual community planting event. It's not just locals turn up, we get people from as far as Mount Barker and right across Adelaide, which I think shows the importance of the river to the broader communities. So it's not just a council responsibility, it's not just the River Torrens Recovery Project responsibility. We need to look after our environment and include the community as part of that.
One of the great things about the River Torrens Recovery Group is that they all recognise one another's issues, in that they're all sharing issues, and because the river flows in one direction, the downstream stakeholders are able to recognise that the upstream problems will become downstream problems at some stage. So the downstream stakeholders tend to be very supportive of work that goes on in the upstream.
We've done a number of field trips to different sites, looking at what we've achieved and how different approaches have been taken, and the fact that we've been working together has really provided us with that bond and that information sharing platform that's enabled us to achieve the goals that we have.
To try and get 11 disparate organisations to agree on the same outcome is phenomenal. So the fact that we've done that, and we've done that at an officer level, is I think quite remarkable and says a lot about the kind of working relationships that we've developed through this project, that people actually have that understanding of each other and that trust that we're trying to achieve a really good outcome, not just for one patch of territory, but for the whole river system itself.
The challenge that we now face is to maintain what we've achieved and keep the river in the state that it is in now. Ongoing funding and ongoing work programs are going to have to be conducted.
If the project's not maintained, it's just returned back to an infested woody weed area. People won't want to be here because of the infestation of the environment and poor quality of biodiversity.
It's really great to work outside and have the River Torrens as my office. It's really satisfying to be able to look back on how it looked when we started to what it looks like now, and the amount of people that are now using it and enjoying the space.
I think one of the amazing things that came out of this project that we hadn't anticipated or expected to the level we got was how much this really resonated with people. They really got excited by it. So that's been an amazing outcome.
One of the magical things about this river is you could be anywhere. You could be at Birdwood or Gummeraka, anywhere on the travels that the Torrens takes. We get a lot of European tourists and Asian tourists coming through, and they just can't believe that we have something so beautiful close to the city. They just absolutely love it.
The Torrens River is vitally important to Adelaide, and to be part of an organisation that is working to improve it, short term and long term, just gives you a great feeling. Every time you drive down the road and you look at the Torrens, you can see there's not so many weeds in the river, and it's a really good feeling to know that you've been part of that.
We, the Kaurna people, look forward to a sustainable future for our river system, Karrawirra Parri, here on the Adelaide Plains. A river that can look after the people of this country, a river that can look after the animals, can look after everybody in the community. This is our connection to our river, Karrawirra Parri.